This podcast is part of the Big Heads Media Podcast Network. Go to bigheadsmedia.com for more great podcasts.
Yeah, it's a devastating moment for the whole country and definitely Australians, that are so far away from home. But it is hard to answer your question. It is hard, but there's also fulfillment if you can find ways to be able to help the cause and do some good and help out as much as you can, whatever you can. There's some fulfillment that will help you sleep at night and come to work the next day and do your job. So that's what I'm trying to do is use my voice and use my platform to be able to bring awareness to this national crisis. Because the deal is if everyone can learn from this around the world to try and prevent it from happening in their own countries, then that's the main goal here. Australia's going through some tough times now, and we'll get through it as Aussies do. But I think the lesson here is if everyone can learn from this on a global stage and prevent it from happening in their own country, then I think that's the goal.
It's big, confidence building, letting us know, we could compete with the best teams in this league. We just got to carry it over, and accept the challenge every time we play against a great team like we did tonight. Matter of fact, just anybody, not even a great team.
What is up, Spurs Nation? Cállate la boca, shut up, because you are listening to a Bucking Spurs podcast brought to you by buckingspurs.com and the Big Heads Media Podcast Network. I'm Robert Trejo Jr., your host of ABSP. Like the great GOAT, Coach Pop, would say, we're all about players who are over themselves and are about team success, as are we here at ABSP. So follow in the footsteps that the greatest big three to ever do it have laid down for us, otherwise known as the Spurs Way. Be a true team player and subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher Podcast, or wherever you get your podcast jam on. Get me open and nail that game-winning jumper by down screening on your phone now. And just like the Spurs with 5 golden trophies in that trophy case, rate this podcast 5 golden stars. The beautiful game that we all know and love can only manifest itself by collective effort of sharing that rock. So don't be a pod hog and share this podcast episode to the rest of Spurs Nation. You can do that by following us on YouTube for more Spurs content like drive-through Spurs takes and Spurs tacos and more. Of course, you can share and follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. If you want to make the first team all BSP, go ahead and bookmark buckingspurs.com on your web browser now, where you can show your support and visit our fan shop for Bucking Spurs hoodies, tees, laptop sleeves, iPhone cases, and more. What is up, Spurs Nation? On this episode of a Bucking Spurs podcast, we're going to break down our 126-104 win against Milwaukee and get into a little bit of what it all means for us and how we're playing right now, where our strengths are, where our weaknesses are. We're going to put everything into context from this game into what it means for us for the next 5 games coming up. We got a pretty nasty road trip in front of us. So we're going to talk about all that and more. Stay tuned. But first, I want to give a shout out to Sirenova at Eric Gloom on Twitter for dropping me a new beat package that's going to be playing throughout this episode. It's fire. But let's drop my beat.
It's not supposed to be easy. Every round gets tougher. Penetrate hard. Good passes. Shoot with confidence. I want some nasty. Spurs
versus Bucks, Part 2. was a lot of fun. I think just as fun as part 1 was at Milwaukee. We went into that game a little bit fearful of the fear of the deer. You know, we definitely are. I walked in there scared. You know, I really didn't know what was going to happen. You know, we have been playing better, but hey, how are we going to play against the best team in the league? I don't know. You know, against the reigning MVP. Oh my God, you know what I mean? And I was nervous going into that first game, and we came out hot. I mean, we came out firing. We came out fearless. We actually came out and started playing the best basketball that we've played all season in that first game, but we couldn't put 4 quarters together, and they were just too much at home. But hey, let's go see how well we play them at home. Let's get on this plane, let's head home, let's rest for a day, and now we got them again. Okay, so we got back-to-back games against the best team in the league. Let's see how they're operating right now and see how we can handle it at home versus away. Because honestly, we haven't been playing well anywhere, at home or on the road, right? So we come in game 2, and I'm wondering, okay, the starting lineups changes, right? Because we had Lonnie Walker in the starting lineup in game 1. No DeJounte Murray in game 1 against the Bucks. Bryn Forbes came off the bench, and I don't think he was the first guy off the bench either in that game. So in game 2, we had DeJounte Murray back in the starting lineup. We had Bryn Forbes back in the starting lineup. So I'm like, oh, okay, geez, this isn't going to go well, because I felt like some of the reasons why we played well in the first game was because of Lonnie Walker, because some of the lineups that they threw out there were working. So here we go, start of game 2. We're back to the way it was. I'm like, okay, great. We're regressing back to the norm, right? It's like, oh, here we go again. Just the same old stuff. But no. This team came out just like they did in the first game. LaMarcus Aldridge is hot. DeMar DeRozan is a walking bucket. And this game, you know, spoiler alert, but we won this game, you know, pretty handily. And walking away from this, I don't know how to feel, because if we go back and you know, go to the start of this month, in the last episode, I talked about how important this month is. And how tough this month is. That's no mystery here. But I thought that loss against OKC was disappointing. I think we've played well. We've played well in those games, but you know, if we would have take care of OKC, we'd be 2-1 right now for the month, and that's where we would want to be. So it's a good job. This game was a lot of fun. Like I said, let me go through some of my notes here for that game, just what stood out. Early on in the first quarter, the Bucks went at Bryn. They went at him early. The first 2 or 3 possessions, 4 possessions, you know, were all targeted in Milwaukee to try to score on Bryn, and they got hot early, right? LaMarcus Aldridge stayed hot from the 3 off the get-go. It's just like, hey, is San Antonio kind of like softening up to LA now? LA's starting to shoot more threes. He's starting to be a little bit more of a guy who's willing to adapt, and I think San Antonio appreciates that. I think the fans appreciate that. Like right now, if you were to ask me, you know, like, do you want to keep LaMarcus Aldridge until, you know, the end of his career? If he's gonna shoot like this, oh my God, yes. You know what I'm saying? Like he's shooting so efficient. He's shooting around 45% from the 3 that it's like, holy crap. Why haven't we been doing this for 2 years? And we've been upset as a fan base. We're like, man, he's good. He's a killer in that mid range. Why doesn't he shoot more threes? We want him to shoot more threes because we know we need to score more points because that's where the game is going. Blah blah blah. But the Spurs never did it. But LaMarcus Aldridge obviously could do it. He just never did. I don't know. But he's on fire. He's playing amazing right now. When Giannis put the ball on the floor, it seemed to me that, like, you know, this is where San Antonio was going to send the double team, that they're not scared of his passing ability or shooting ability. So when he catches the ball, it's one-on-one, it's one-on-one, it's one-on-one. Okay, until now he puts his dribble down, boom, here comes the second guy, here comes the third guy. And so every time Giannis was dribbling towards the rim, by the time he got to the rim, he had 2 or 3 to contest his shot, and it was a smart defensive strategy. It's just, I mean, that's pretty much all we can do against the Greek Freak, man. You can try to throw as many bodies at him on the way to the rim as possible. LA, you know, LaMarcus Aldridge was getting double teamed, triple teamed, right? And he was making great plays out of that early. Trey Lyles is a rebound machine, right? This guy is unbelievable. he had 12 rebounds, I think, in the third quarter, something like that. I'll find that later on my notes, but he's just rebounding at an extremely high level on both ends, the offensive end and the defensive end. We turned it over a few times early, and every time we turned it over, Giannis would go the other way and put 2 points in the basket however he wanted. But I think we fixed that early. I'm talking about this in the first quarter. Everything I'm talking about right now is kind of going through the game, and Giannis was, I don't know if he looked a little bit tired. He wasn't, just jamming it on us like he usually does on the fast break. But, I think we fixed our turnover issue early. LaMarcus Aldridge is feeling himself right now. He had like a little step back three. He's just feeling himself on another level that, and we will go as far as LaMarcus Aldridge takes us. That's the way it is here in San Antonio right now. So if LaMarcus Aldridge starts feeling himself, that's a really good thing for us. All right, we're going to take a little break. More Spurs versus Bucks when we come back.
Hey, everybody. Want to let you know about the Green and Bold podcast, a podcast dedicated to news, insights, and opinions about the Oakland A's. My name's Joe Stiglich. I covered the A's for about a decade, first in newspapers, then in the TV world. I'm looking forward to delivering you all kinds of thoughts about the A's.
And I'm David Feldman, longtime A's historian, A's media person, and we're going to get you into everything you need to know about Oakland A's baseball.
So head to bigheadsmedia.com or iTunes or Spotify or anywhere that you get your podcasts and listen to the Green and Bold podcast.
So the first guys off the bench was White, Mills, and Gay, right? So those three came off the bench and gave the starters, our two main guys, in Demar, Derozan, and LaMarcus Aldridge, a different look, a different group on the floor to play with, because they played with DeJounte, Trey Lyles, and Bryn Forbes, right, for the first 6-7 minutes of that first quarter. And then they got to play about a minute and a half, 2 minutes with Rudy Gay, Patty Mills, and Derek White. And I like that rotation. See, that's what I'm talking about right now. It's like, okay, we all knew that our problems were in-house, and it was just figuring out minutes, lineups, or whatever, and getting LaMarcus Aldridge and Demar a little bit of run with those guys is a lot of fun. So the subs that eventually came in for DeMar DeRozan were Jakob and Lonnie. So Lonnie come in with about 2 minutes left. Lonnie and Jakob come in 2 minutes left in the first quarter and give us a little bit of energy there. Giannis is just, he's a monster. I think that in the first quarter we started very hot. We started getting good shots whenever we wanted. So we were hitting early too, and so were they. I think we cleaned up some things coming out here in the second quarter, but we start off slow in the second, to be honest. All right, but at the end of the first quarter, we're up 27-22, right? We're up 5, and yeah, 27 isn't a lot of points. We didn't score 46 points in the quarter and break a record or anything like that, but we held Milwaukee to 22 points in the first quarter, and you got to be able to walk away with that thinking, okay, all right, they're having trouble right now. We're doing okay, and we got to keep going because this is going to be a fight after this first quarter. So going into the second quarter, we kind of start off a little slow. Rudy hits a 3. We started doing a good job of forcing jump shots out of Giannis in the second quarter. Sending help early. I kind of feel like like every time Giannis caught the ball, we'd have a guy shift over to show that he was in help, but he wouldn't go for the double team right away. So we, forced him into jump shots or make him a passer, right? We can make Giannis a passer. I think that's where you're winning that battle as well. And then here comes DeJounte for Derek White. 9 minutes left to go in the second quarter. It's 28-33 right now. We're up 5, and DJ comes in and changes the game. And I want to talk about DJ a little bit, and being one of the X factors for this game was because there was a stretch that he goes in this game where he doesn't miss a shot, and he hit 3 threes in this I'm thinking he hit more than 3, but he was just like 3 in a row. I know he at least got 3 in a row. And he changed the game from this point on in the second quarter. DJ comes in, gets a bucket. DJ and Lonnie out on the floor was a lot of fun because they got to get out on the break, right? So we got Lonnie going, we got DJ going. LaMarcus Aldridge comes in for Jakob, right? So now you have DJ and LaMarcus in there, and then boom, DJ hits another 3, right? His second of the game at this point. Trey Lyles, boom, comes in, hits a 3, right? And Bryn Forbes are in the game now. So then we have our starting unit back on the floor, and DJ just gets everybody everybody going, right? At this point, about 7 minutes left through the second quarter, we're up 34-41. We kind of pulled it away a little bit. We're up 7 points now. Okay, we're building a lead. Things are going good. And then here comes Demar Derozan. Starts to heat up too. Boom, bucket. Now we're up. Now here comes DJ again. He hadn't missed he was 4 for 6 at this point towards the end of the second quarter. And then we just start making it rain threes. Here in the second quarter, let me tell you who hits a 3 in the second quarter. Rudy Gay hits a 3 in the second quarter. DeJounte hits 1, 2 in the second quarter. Trey Lyles hits 1, 2 in the second quarter. Right, LaMarcus Aldridge and Derek White chip in with 1. Patty hits 1. Right, so we hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 threes in this second quarter. So we were just shooting the lights off. I mean, that bucket was just huge, right, in the second quarter. So at halftime, we saw that we're doing a good job moving the ball. I think we're moving our bodies with energy at this point. That was something that kind of stood out in this second quarter, and it kind of shows. I mean, we played well when we have energy, and the body language out there is where it needs to be. We started hitting from 3. DeJounte stepped up in the second quarter. It was an all-you-can-eat buffet, really. I mean, we won this quarter 38-30. So we scored 38 points. In the second, they scored 30, and we're up 65-52 at the half. And then going into the third quarter, Mills starts off, with hot with the 3. LaMarcus Aldridge gets his first bucket, but not until about 2 minutes in. So we started a little bit slow, but I'm sorry, Milwaukee starts hot, not Mills. They start off hot, we start off slow. Bryn gets an and 1-3, gets us going, right? And then at this point, Trey Lyles is just a rebounding machine. He has 12 rebounds, right? 7 minutes to go in the third quarter. DeJounte is I think after seeing this game, DeJounte might be better with his second unit. I'm not sure. DeMar DeRozan, it's very easy to explain his game. He's a walking bucket. He had 20 points in the third quarter, right? So he was getting his work done early, as I can say. We can't score off their turnovers. It felt like that was a missed opportunity in this game. If you want to nitpick, is that when Milwaukee turned it over, they did a good job of getting back in transition and actually limiting San Antonio's transition points in that end. We could actually blew it up even more than we did. Here comes Lonnie, and it was cool to see Lonnie and DiVincenzo play against each other, and they were guarding each other for a little while, because those two guys were drafted back-to-back in the draft. Right before us in that draft, Milwaukee picked up DiVincenzo, and coming out of the Final Four, I was there at the Final Four in San Antonio where DiVincenzo pretty much walked away with the MVP, undisputed. Just remember that guy just destroyed that championship game. I was there, and it was cool seeing those two guys go at it, because I actually wanted DiVincenzo for the Spurs. I thought it was a good look, but I'm glad we didn't, because there was a freak athlete with untapped potential right behind him in Lonnie Walker, and we stole him. So that was a little fun. I like when Lonnie Walker and Rudy Gay are on the floor together. It seems like they look out for each other. Like if there's a transition break that Rudy Gay is bringing the ball up, he is actively looking for Lonnie. And I think since the opening media day clips of Rudy Gay talking about Lonnie, you can tell that he believes in Lonnie. He thinks that he's going to help us this year, and he looks for him out there on the floor. And Lonnie does the same thing back to Rudy in transition. So I like what's going on there. Patty was making it rain from 3 as well, as we all game long, and he had 14 points by the third quarter. This is going to be a pivotal point for San Antonio moving forward. Just like, hey, I'm not saying we're going to go on a 10-game win streak, but hey, a win streak can come, because if we can walk away from here saying, look, we can compete, and I'm not saying, we can beat the best team in the league and the Milwaukee Bucks, we just beat the reigning MVP. Yeah, we just lost to them the game before. It's a certain situational, the circumstances there are different, than just going and playing someone randomly. You go out and you play in Philadelphia or Toronto, and you just think, oh yeah, we can beat them. No, we played well against Milwaukee in the first game. The second game, we had home court behind us, and we used it. We should use this as a building block moving forward, but we shouldn't expect us to shoot this well every night. We shouldn't expect the other team to to kind of be a little bit of a dud. I think maybe the travel hit them a little bit more than it hit us, and we had our home crowd behind us, right? So we can compete with the best in the league. That's not a problem. I don't think that's been a question since the get-go, and we've lost a lot of games, yes, but the reason why we've had so many overtime games is because we've been competitive and we've been playing well enough to win. We just have not been winning games. And I think this might be one of those turning points where it's like, hey, look, guys, like, we're starting to believe something, we're starting to feel something in this locker room. Positive things are happening. It's going to be a snowball effect. I think the veterans in there know that. They've been in the league long enough that they've gone through ups and downs, and it doesn't faze them. They just keep playing. It's just up to our young guys to try to stay as consistent as they can moving forward, and hopefully this win can build their confidence. And I'm talking about Lonnie, DeJounte, Derek, Jakob, right? These guys, Trey Lyles, man. Trey Lyles has been great on the boards, has been a machine. So I'm going to go over some final stats right after this break for this game and talk about what stood out and what didn't. Moving forward, it was a great win, and now we got to take it on to the next one. Final takeaways from this 126-104 win from San Antonio is that we held Milwaukee under 30 points for 3 quarters, right? 22 in the first, 29 in the third, and 23 in the fourth quarter. I mean, only 30 in the second. And when you can do that to a team like Milwaukee, who's based their offense around penetration and kicking out to open shooters and really utilizing Giannis going downhill, and that's what's gotten them to be the best team in the league right now. Like I said earlier, this win, there should be a little asterisk next to it saying that it was situational. It was a back-to-back game against the same team with a travel day in between, and we had our home court behind us, and that we used that. But if we take a little bit of a deeper look into this game, we can easily see that we shot way better than Milwaukee. We shot 51% from the field, Milwaukee 40%. Okay. Another big stat is that we took 35 threes. 35. I mean, we were only averaging like 14 for the first month and a half of the season, and we've doubled that. So you can tell that there's, the guys are talking. There's obviously been a shift in our offensive mindset, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with taking more threes. I think everyone in that locker room is looking at each other like, hey guys, we're all shooting well, man. Like we all can hit it. Patty's shooting well. Rudy's shooting well. LaMarcus Aldridge is having a career, 2 or 3 weeks right now where he's shooting 45% from the three. DeMar DeRozan is shooting well. And I think it's important for those two guys to shoot more threes right now at this point in their career, because obviously the game has changed, and guys like those two don't have a place right now in the league. Look at Carmelo Anthony, and I mean, he just hit a game winner, the other night. But these guys need to be shooting more threes, and it's just making us better because it's spreading the floor out so much that lanes are starting to open up for us, and those shots are a little bit easier to come by now than they did before, right? So we shot 35 threes. We're 54%. I mean, that's unbelievable, right? Milwaukee was 15 for 45, right? 33%. So they just did not shoot the ball well tonight. And Milwaukee is a tough team, and this isn't how they normally play, right? We did get to the line 19 times, which is that's a positive thing moving forward too. But I think the big stat that separated this game was the rebounding, right? I mean, we had 54 rebounds to their 38. We were all over the boards, limiting them to one shot. I think they got a few offensive rebounds early in the first quarter, and the Spurs did a really good job of taking that away and understanding, hey, we got to find this guy and this guy because they're killing us right now on the glass. And when we, there was a few possessions where we gave 2 or 3 attempts for Milwaukee to score. And then we cut that out after the first quarter, and that helped us out there too. All right. So other than that, I mean, it was pretty even across the board. 23 assists to 24 assists. We lost that one. Turnovers, we had 11, they had 8, so we're both turning it over. Points in the paint, they got us there. So, I mean, it's just, we're okay. We're okay here. I mean, we're not going to shoot this well every night, and Milwaukee's not going to shoot this bad every night. So that's where you want to kind of see. But we know now, hey, when we are shooting well from the three-point line, we can make it rain with the best of them, and hopefully that gives us a little bit of confidence moving forward. There's still a lot to be discussed this month. It's a busy month. In January, it's a tough month for our San Antonio Spurs. We're about to go on a 4-game road trip, right? And then we come back to play Atlanta. So we're gonna play some tough games here against Boston and some East Coast teams, right? So it's gonna be a lot of fun to see these guys play. I think we're playing well. There's some optimism to be shared throughout the community in Spurs Nation right now. One, Lonnie Walker is taken over by storm. He is playing a lot better, right? Lonnie Walker ended up playing 20 minutes, all right? So that's becoming a normal thing now, where Lonnie Walker is getting in early in the first quarter and staying on the floor. I mean, the only players, that played more than him were off the bench were Patty and Rudy. See, Rudy 25 minutes, Patty 23 minutes. Derek also played 20 minutes, so just like Lonnie. So Derek and Lonnie are playing a lot together on the floor, and that's making us pretty lethal in transition. I'm not gonna lie. And Lonnie finished out with 8 points. Patty Mills dropped a 21 piece on us. Rudy Gay dropped 17. He played well. It seems like when LaMarcus Aldridge just got to play well for San Antonio to be successful, right? And he had 17 points tonight, right? Usually my take is he needs to score 17 to 25 for us to win. And he did that for us tonight. Also chipped in with a couple rebounds and a couple assists, but he was just so efficient from shooting the ball tonight. He made everyone else better by opening up the floor and giving everyone else penetration lanes to the basket. Demar had 25.7 assists, so Demar had a hell of a night too, and he got it going early. We put these guys away early. I mean, even Chemezi and Damari Carroll plays, they got 2 minutes apiece. You know who didn't play at all? Marco Bellinelli. I don't know why he played against the Bucks in the previous game. We didn't get any minutes in this one. They gave him to Damari, it seems. It was a good game. Everyone shared the ball. Kind of a disappointing note is that in a game where everyone's shooting threes, our best three-point shooter, Bryn Forbes, he had a 4-point play and then a two-pointer, I think, a mid-range jumper. So he ended up with 6 points. He was the only one that wasn't feeding from this, and Bryn is going through a little bit of a shooting slump, but a shooter's got to keep shooting, and that's what Bryn's going to do, and he's all right. He's just got to play through it. It's a long season, but there's a lot to talk about. On the next episode, I'm going to talk about my trip up to the Austin Spurs. Got to see them play against the Greensboro Swarm, which was a fun game. Sat second row, got to see a lot of these first rounders play up close, so stay tuned for that. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcast gem on. We are there. Make sure to go to buckingspurs.com to get all of the Spurs content. Follow us on YouTube. Go down right now and rate this podcast. Share this podcast with the rest of Spurs Nation. Hashtag ABSP, a Bucking Spurs podcast. We'll catch you on the next one.